Hello, everybody. Hello. Hey, let's have some energy just before the end of the day. So I'm Johnny Paterson, one of the co-founders of Dr.PAWPAW, and I'm here and delighted to talk to you about how I took £20,000 and built it into a multi-million pound business in only 10 years, just a short period of time. Anybody here wanting to build a multi-million pound business?
Yes.
Yeah, anybody got a multi-million pound business? Oh, okay. I was going to say, come up here and help. I'm only joking. So, yes, Dr.PAWPAW is the business. My wife and I started it. Where's the clicker? Ah, here it is. My wife and I started the business 10 years ago. But before I go into the detail, I just wanted to give you some of the background why I'm talking to you today, because I think that's always quite interesting. First of all, in 2020, we were just turning over £20 million. COVID had a big impact on our business, like it did for many beauty businesses. We will turn 12 million this year, which is very, very exciting for our business. We are a business with a strong corporate sustainable message that we are always talking about, hence why I was on the last panel just now, which I really enjoyed. We have 20 plus people in the team, all paid above the London living wage, something that we take great pride in. Annually, we donate a bunch of our sales, our revenue, to charities. So we are actually a big partner with the Teenage Cancer Trust, and you'll find that on the back of many of our bits of packaging. It's something that we take great pride in again. And what's that all meant? Well, just recently we were announced in the Sunday Times Best Places to Work in 2024. So we're really proud of this. So just me and why I'm talking to you today. I am a previous winner of the Great British Entrepreneur of the Year Awards back in 2020. Sadly, when I won it, when you win this award, you do it in a room with 2,500 guests at the Grosvenor. Fortunately for me, I managed to win it with the lovely Ollie, but it was Ollie on a computer screen with me on the other side, and he gave me that round of applause, and it was as loud as 2,500 people. Thank you, Ollie. But I was delighted to win that, and some amazing people have won that award. I am a UK export champion as well, so I work closely with British Gov to try and get British businesses to export. So after this, I will be around to talk to you if you want to talk to me about how you can export. We talked about Sunday Time Best Places to Work, and we have won many product awards. However, I've got a bit of a confession to make to you all today, that I am a failure. And the reason why I know this is because my teachers told me regularly at school that I would be. Dyslexic, dyscalculia, couldn't really do maths, didn't understand numbers. I mean, back then we were given, I don't know if any of you are as old as me, but given books, basically left with it, and square plus triangle meant something, and I would go, I don't get it. I don't understand it. So I actually got ungraded in maths, which I think is a record in my state school in Corby, Northamptonshire, which I take great pride in. I didn't go to university. This was the 1990s, so I had ambitions of working for big corporate blue chip manufacturers such as L'Oreal and all these companies. I'm not poo-pooing L'Oreal, by the way, if anyone's here from L'Oreal. Great company, great products. But they wouldn't take on somebody like me because I didn't have a degree. I don't know if anyone remembers this. So I basically just had to find my own way in life. Whatever I put my hand in, I just wanted to have a go at. So one of the first thing I did was working for the co-op in Northamptonshire, and I would go and collect all the trolleys, but while I was collecting the trolleys, I would also take people's shopping bags and get tips. I probably shouldn't have done that because it wasn't a part of the job spec, but I took the tips. I then moved to Bournemouth and got a job in a pub, which was in a hotel, which was only earning £365 a week. This was back in 2001. But quite quickly, I could see that I could earn the pub more money by doing things like karaoke nights, quiz nights, and I turned that pub into doing nearly £2,000 a week. The owner didn't want me to leave, as you can imagine. I always had something about me, but I suppose I had this imposter syndrome. And the reason why I talk to you about it all today is because many people in the room will still believe that they can't do what I'm doing. Yeah, but I was a failure. I was this guy who just worked in a pub. But I had this. I had the ability to smile. I have the ability to be kind and to make something from nothing. And so I was given a chance to join a PR agency when I was just 14 years old, which was incredible. I would do this in the background whilst doing all those other jobs. So also something to pick up on. I just loved working, really, any time of day, because I just think of the cash that I was making. And not that I'm obsessed with money, but I just enjoyed having money going into my bank account and having savings. It was just something that was in me. When I started at this PR agency, I started as the junior. I then became the PR account manager. And within 8 years, I managed to become the managing director, which most people, how long does anybody want to now work 8 years in one company? Everybody's like, let's move on, move on. The company at the time was a trade PR agency, and we were doing around 750 a month. But I'd quickly worked out that the big bucks was in corporate business. So I got asked by a company called High Street TV. I don't know if anybody knows High Street TV here. It's a big TV shopping channel where you can buy this product. But they brought me in to talk to them about beauty because they didn't know what they were doing. And I'd been working in beauty for many years. So I just, at the chance at the end of the pitch, said, can I pitch for NutriBullet? And he said, go on then. And I'd already had a pitch all designed and ready to go. And this was when I won the NutriBullet account. Now, back then, I don't know if anyone knows, it was about 2014, NutriBullet was a nothing. It was a juicer that basically you put all your fruit in and you have these lovely drinks. 4 years later, and this was the number one selling food product in in food electrical for 3 years, and we were the agency that was behind it. And basically, it allowed us to win many brilliant big beauty accounts. So the accounts that I'd been managing at £750 a month were now paying me £10,000 a month. We took the revenue from £87,000 a year to 1.4 million in 3 years, which was an incredible feat. So I suppose why I tell you all this is because, again, it's my imposter syndrome, those early days of thinking that I wasn't good enough. But if actually you just try and believe and put yourself out there, you really can achieve anything. Finally, I've won the Great British Entrepreneur of the Year, but I actually won as well the PRCA, which is the governing body of public relations. I won MD of the Year, which was another big achievement. So again, competing against companies that were turning over hundreds of millions, we'd managed to achieve this great feat. And it was mainly because NutriBullet was so fantastic, by the way. Everybody wanted it. It was great telling celebrities no that they couldn't have one for a quote. So, but I think this is where I start to lead on to the sort of the Dr.PAWPAW side of the business now. I was always making money for other people, which, you know, I quite enjoyed that. I liked seeing their brands build and get bigger and bigger. But for me, I thought, I've got a young family now. My daughter had just been born, and I thought, I've got to change this up because I used to win 2 clients and then lose one. I don't know if anyone has this feeling. If you're in the service-based industry, I mean, your company sounds a lot different than mine, bigger scale, but we would win 2 accounts and then we would lose one. And it's heartbreaking because you think, oh, we're getting ahead, and then we go back again. So it was time to change, and we'd always been looking for the opportunity to create our own brand. And I think somebody mentioned earlier about finding members of staff that could be affordable for you. Well, I decided, to get my wife on board. I was still working in the PR agency. I never took a salary from Dr.PAWPAW for 3 years, even though I worked in it just as hard as I did in the PR. But one of the best things I did was bring in my wife as the co-founder. She was obviously a big part of our business at the start because we always wanted to have a product that was natural, that it was vegan, that it was colorful. And if I jump back a second, because I did miss this slide, one of the things that I did learn from my PR days that, and if anyone is thinking of starting this business here, you need a point of difference, yeah? So you either need an innovation or something that people couldn't get. So innovations are really hard to come by because there's not that many nowadays. Everybody says it's innovative. Is it? That's the thing I ask. So we've spotted something in the market where we saw that in lip care, everybody was using animal derivative products or that they weren't natural. And so we decided that we wanted to change that. One of the other things I also noticed in magazines, and if you are thinking of starting your own business, being bright and colorful is so impactful, because we were in a time when all product packaging was black and white. And the reason why it's so important that it's colorful is because when it's on stage like this, or back in my day, magazines and newspapers, black and white would never stand out. But the journalists would always contact me and say, have you got anything bright to sit on my page? So we knew we needed something that was bright and colorful that people would be blown away with. And then another thing that me and my wife have always been, we think it's important to be kind, is that we wanted it to include everybody. So even though we are natural and vegan, the plastic is recyclable, the cardboard is recyclable, it's from soya ink, we pay everybody all these great wages, we wanted to make sure that it was affordable for all. And so this is when the Dr.PAWPAW business was born. Now, at the time, I had £10,000, which was in the PR agency, and I was going to start it with that. But once I'd gone out and done my business, found out the things that I needed to do, whether it be law protection, whether it be buying the stock, whether it be trademarking it, all around the world, it then got up to £20,000, which it still is a lot of money. But I managed to get the 10,000 from the business and then 5,000 from 2 sets of friends. Good friends, eh? Here we go. We instantly got ahead, which was amazing. Probably one of the things I should give you some insight into. I got advised by a great man called Tony Mascolo, who owned a salon chain called Tony and Guy. Never, ever buy product without checking if somebody wants it first, which sounds absolutely bleeding obvious. But what we did is we went out to the market and we took these products out, this natural vegan lip care brand, and we went round to all the retailers. Luckily, I knew them. If you want some advice on how to find these retailers, we now have the power of LinkedIn. I wish I had LinkedIn back in 2014. It's an absolute savior now. But we went to the market, we went to Harvey Nichols, Look Fantastic, QVC, and we said, we've got this product idea, would you be interested in it? And they said, yes. So we developed the range, and here it is today. We made this in the UK, natural vegan, as I stated. We made this up in Leeds, in Yorkshire, and 90% of our manufacturing is still here in the UK. The only reason why we now produce in China and in the US is to support the global markets, because now we're in 20 countries, places such as Australia, the US, and Canada. It doesn't make sense to be shipping it all around the world, so we're doing more production in these far markets. But yeah, there's Pauline there back in 2014 on QVC with Alison Young, and that was actually a sellout. They have a little green room that's in the back of the show where you get to see the sales, and we could not believe that in 5 minutes we'd sold all our products. So we knew that we were onto a winner. Some key things that I think that we did at the start, and again, I was advised by Scott and the team, it's to give you guys learnings today. What would you do if you're starting a business up for £20,000? Well, we trademarked our logo and name. That was the first thing we did. And we spent £5,000 on it, and we did it for the UK and Europe. It's something called the Madrid Protocol. We went to a company called Briffa, who is a legal lawyer, and they helped us set this up. So it basically meant that if anybody saw or used our logo and our name, that they couldn't. And it was one of the best £5,000 that we'd ever spent. We started the small business with a small amount of money, but obviously we needed support. And one of the things that we did is we went to HSBC. Now, when you go to HSBC in those days, they had the ability to ask for the deeds of your house. Nowadays, they can't do that because there is laws in place to protect you as a business, that they can't take it. You still have to pay back all the money that you borrow, but back then, they could take your house. And that was a big mistake of ours. Looking back, would I have done it again? Absolutely. Because we wouldn't be where we are today if we hadn't have done it. But now, I'm telling you, you don't need to do that. one of the biggest things that we did is that we marketed the business every single month. Now, I'm lucky enough to be a PR head, so I know what we need to do to get ahead. But giving you the advice today, what's really, really important for you all is that you are PRing your business every single month. Now, that's putting together a press release, sending it out to journalists and to influencers. And this might sound like the basics, but that's really why Dr. PAWPAW is the household name it is today. We're now in 5,000 retailers in the UK: Boots, Superdrug, Holland & Barrett, Waitrose, Sainsbury's, Tesco's, WH Smith, Oliver Bonus, just to name a few, all big supporters of our brand. But the reason why they buy it is because of the pure volume of people that know the brand. I hope you guys know it today. Another thing that we did, and I'm going to go into a bit more detail about it towards the end, I'm keeping an eye on my timer here because I do go on, is that we spoke early to investors. So we had investors approach us about buying into the business. And I would say, if you've got a business where you're fairly successful and you know what you're doing, hold off, don't talk to them. We made the mistake of getting turned on by the cash and the idea, and one of the investors actually copied our brand, which put us on a tough trajectory where we basically worked 10 times harder, put ourselves in many markets that we didn't need to. And so now, looking back, take your time. If you're building your business, you don't need to rush, okay? Especially if it's successful. If you need help, then seek the advice of an investor who can help you grow the business but doesn't necessarily need to copy the business. I can give you more details of that towards the end. So, how did we start to export the business? And one of the key things that I'll talk to you about today is UK Gov and the Department for Business and International Trade. I just so had this amazing meeting on a train with a customer who was sitting across from me who was using another competitor brand. And I said to the lady, "You don't want to be using that. Can I offer you this one?" And she said, "This is amazing." She turned it on the back and she said, "Where do you make this product?" Again, made in the UK. She was delighted, and it turns out that she was from the Department for International Trade, and she wanted to help me export the products around the world. So serendipitous moment, and again, I will stay behind to talk to you about how I can help you with UK export. But from this moment on, they gave me funding to go to international markets. So we are doing a show next week in Italy called Cosmoprof Bologna, where there'll be 500,000 visitors over 5 days coming in to see what brands are doing. I'm in the British Pavilion, and that's where I met many of my UK retailers. You think that they would see me here in the UK? No, I have to go to Bologna to meet them. Great pasta, great wine, it's a good reason to go. The funding that you get from Gov is small, but it gives you the confidence to go and do it. And then what I found with Gov as well, if you really push Gov to try and give you support, they'll start to find the retailers for you and give you the names of the retailers. So again, I've really used them for UK, Australia, and I've also used them for the United States. I did an event in December in Mumbai where I was there for a week on a trade mission, and they took me to all the best retailers to meet them. It cost me my flight and my hotel, and I launch in India in 4 weeks' time with Nykaa, which is the biggest retailer in India. So all because I said to somebody on a train, "Can I swap your lip balm?" So talk. Oh, and take samples everywhere, by the way. So this is the show that we attended, and this is how bright and colorful we are. So hopefully you'll notice now there's a bit of a theme. We're always popping. Not a great place to be if you've got a hangover because it's very, very bright. But we are standing there. We've got yellow suits. I mean, that yellow suit looks awful, doesn't it? But I mean, this was us on our first year in a tiny little booth, a few posters up. And then this is our stand now. Obviously 5 team members, bright, colorful TV. And we have so many meetings. I don't like to boast about being in hundreds of countries because I always think you should talk about the countries where you're active. So we are in 20 active countries, and they are places like the UK, the United States, Australia, and the Middle East, Spain, Italy, where we do very good business now. So international growth, some do's and don'ts from me. Ensure you have your trademarks because I've been copied in various places, especially China, where Dr.PAWPAW is a really great brand, I hear. Highly recommended. Not so natural, 100% paraffin, but they've done it. Do you have the right product at the right price at the right time? I took investment in November, and this was one of the key things that I learned. Sell the right product at the right retailer at the right price. Don't take your product, if it's £7, and try and sell it in Home Bargains, because it won't work. Sell the right products at the right price at the right time. Don't go with any retailer or distributor. It's not the right thing to do. Choose your partners carefully. Who do they work with? Do they have the right brands that fit alongside your brand? Will they give you the time? Do attend great trade shows like the one that I showed you. There's lots of beauty shows and food shows where you can do speed dating, which is quite fun. They basically give you a hotel room and buyers come to it. It's odd, but has done us very well. It's how I've launched in CVS in the US, how I launched in Shoppers Drug Mart. So just to give you an idea, those two doors combined are 24,000 doors, and that was all from a show. Work with the Department for International Trade. Meet with an export champion. Here I am for you today, so you can talk to me. Seek export finance. So I work now very closely with HSBC after I left them, and they persuaded me to come back after I went to Metro for 4 years. And they've now offered me trade finance, export finance, and invoice finance, which again, there's a lot more detail in that, which I can give you later. I'm just thinking I've got to get through my slides. I've just noticed I've got 8 minutes left. But really, there's also another big thing here to note is the Export Academy. Please do write it down. It's free. It's set up by Gov to teach you all about your Incoterms, to teach you how to obviously do your pricing abroad, what customers are saying to you when they give you all these weird and wonderful acronyms, etc. Look it up. It's really handy. Maintain a great market by doing lots of marketing. One of the things that we do when we are in these countries is do pan marketing. So what does that mean? I get my markets to PR the brand like the way that we do. So if you were to go to Australia right now and see my brand in Australia, you will see that the marketing is done in the exact same way as we do it in the UK. And the reason why we do that is because we're trying to build a brand that feels like it's a one world feel that eventually somebody might be interested in talking to us about. If the brand is segmented and it has different stories, it doesn't feel right. So really ensure this pan marketing. Try and visit the country once per year. You are never, ever going to understand a market or the retailers or their needs or problems if you do it all from the UK. In the UK, we do have a real tendency to think just because we know how to do business with Superdrug, that we know how to do business with DM in Germany. We don't. It's a completely different market. And even trading with places like Australia and the US who speak the same lingo as us, it's different. It's all very different promotions and different offers. Support your distributor. If you decide to get into bed with a distributor and let them sell your brand, you've got to let them do it. But you've also got to support them by giving them yearly marketing spends and training. And if you just look, these are just some of the things that we're doing in retailers globally. I think it looks great, if I do say so myself. Challenges I've faced when I scaled. So we talked about it earlier, trying to get a bank to support you because unlucky I do not have a very rich grandfather or uncle who could help me, so I needed the bank. I borrowed £40,000 from HSBC, but I had to give them the deeds to my house. I then went to Metro, who gave me £80,000 and then gave me the deeds back to my house, so I think that was a bit of a winner. But when HSBC saw that what I was doing, they asked me to move back with a £2 million fund because of the growth that we had had over 4 years. That was a really good meeting with HSBC. And I have to say, they have been so supportive in the last 4 years, so do talk to them. Stock management is probably one of the biggest challenges you'll face when you're starting up. So we were talking about it earlier. In the early days, I would buy stock and I would be buying 5,000 pieces at a time. It would be costing me double what I'm paying now. But now with the amounts that I buy, which is really 50 to 60,000 units per month per SKU, I get a much better price. But now managing that stock and the cash flow is extremely hard. So hire somebody who's a great merchandiser. That's what I've done. I hire lots of people who are a lot more intelligent than me. That's one thing to learn, because I always used to think that you need people that are just as good as you. No, you need better. And this lady who runs my stock management is incredible, so a really great thing. Something that I think is extremely important for any brand is this. When I used to do PR for restaurants, they used to say to me, I've spent £5 million on the kit out of this restaurant. I used to think, wow, how much have you got for marketing? And they'd go, 0. How ludicrous does that sound, that they would spend so much money on these amazing restaurants, but they'll have no money to do marketing? There is no point in creating a product if you're not willing to market it. And I know I'm a PR man, so I'm probably not the right person to be defending this, but if you do not market it, people will not know about it. And just some of the highlights that are in there now. I don't know if any of you recognize the pig in the middle. That was our big success last March when we did a deal with M&S and we did the Percy Pig lip oil, which tastes of Percy Pig. It's wonderful. We've recently just done the Wicked campaign. Did anyone hear about that movie? Come on. Yes? Good. Did everyone see it? No, a few people in the audience. It is a good movie, but it is 2 hours and 40 minutes. But that's been a huge business for us. It took our sales in Superdrug up 400% in the last quarter, to give you an idea of what collabs can do. And the reason why we're doing that now is because we're trying to drive the brand more in terms of its marketing. Meeting retailers, I think, is a challenge. I think there'll be many in your room right now thinking, how did you get to meet them? Whether you're in food, whether you're in beauty, whether you're in toilet paper, meeting buyers is extremely hard. But the one thing that I think we do have now, but we didn't have back when I started, was LinkedIn. LinkedIn is incredible. Make sure you get the premium account and approach everybody you can. And do what I did. I hounded Holland and Barrett for 7 years. And eventually he said, look, I'll just put it in if you just stop messaging me. And it worked. And same with Australia. 9 years it took me. And they eventually said, okay, we'll put it in store. So just keep trying. I thought this would be quite interesting. This is actually the man who gave me £5,000 towards my business. And I don't know if you can read that. He said, to Johnny, I've seen you grow from the boy to man, to the businessman, to the entrepreneur. It's exciting to see you and who you still are. And you're only halfway. He gave me this last year. I couldn't believe it. You're nearly at the finish line. Always, I'm super proud of you and the person you have come, which is amazing. But what would I teach my younger self? That I am enough. Because sometimes I think when I look back at those early days and when I failed maths and people told me that I was stupid, I wasn't stupid. I just learned differently to everybody else. And that's the thing that I think we don't recognize in our children. We're always thinking in this Victorian education. So give yourself a pat on the back, yeah? Because you are enough. Key behaviors of a winner. Some cheesy bits before we end. Never give up. I never, ever give up. I told you, I got told no, and no, and no, but I knew that that was a yes tomorrow in my head, which makes me a bit sick, but it does work. And if you keep trying, people then believe in your determination because they go, this guy's gonna do it. And I had the amazing backup of my wife who, you'll see her here with all the pictures. She's been amazing and she's at the forefront just like me. Implementation, if you have a great idea, do it, don't wait. So I went on a great marketing course many years ago from a guy called Chris Cardell. I don't know if any of you have heard of him. A lot of people don't like him. I can understand why. But I actually really took so much away from him that day, which was basically, I thought that it should all just come to me, but nothing just comes to you in life. You have to make it happen. Know and understand everything about your business. Really, really important. So I'm not an expert at everything, but I understand everything that's going on in my business, both in the financial sense, to purchasing, to MPD, to HR, because nobody can tell me that I don't know what's going on. I know what's going on, but I'm not an expert. Hire people that are better than you. And then finally, a no is a no today, but it's a yes for tomorrow, and believe in that. Just some successes for you to see. And then just some final things just for you to maybe take some pictures of. Some books that I am a big fan of, that I think if you're trying to become an entrepreneur or you want to be an entrepreneur, that you should buy these books. Yeah, everybody get your phones out, please. Don't waste time. The Secret was the first book I ever read. It basically tells you about the law of attraction, that if you think it, it becomes it. It does. The Chimp Paradox, which is all about the two people inside your mind. Does everybody have two people inside their mind? Yeah. If anybody says no, then you're crazy. You do. And it's about listening to the right person at the right time. The art of negotiation is everything. Who are the best negotiators in the world? Does anybody know? Kids. Good answer. Yes, they always say no, and if they don't get what they want, they do this. Try it in front of a buyer. It works. Strengths Finder, great to do amongst teams. Everybody has to intuitively answer questions and they speed up as you go. And then what you do at the end gets your 5 key strengths. Why that works so well as a team, because then you can all see who has key skills and how everybody works differently. It's really important. Finally, journaling. Journal every single day. I've been journaling for years. It makes you feel thankful for what you have, be grateful for what you have. And then just finally, my copies. Thank you. You give me the energy to go every single day. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Amazing. Please stay with us.
Yep.
Let me ask you this. Will you stay and join our panel discussion?
I had a feeling you were going to ask me that.
Yeah, you've seen it.
And I, Elisabetta? Yeah, there you go.
No, thank you very much. Good. No, so please don't get anywhere. Very quick question before I bring our other guests on.
I did run over.
No, not at all.
I would.
Not at all. By the way, I'm sorry it took you 7 years to get into Holland and Barrett. You should have just asked.
Is that your place?
The secret. I mean, the secret.
Yes.
What do you want to attract now? What are you manifesting now? What could we help you with?
Because by the way, I've no way made it. I've been lucky enough to make myself a little bit comfortable, which means to take away the stresses of everyday life. But now I think more about what I want for family, what they need to achieve. My daughter's trying to get into Brit school, so I make sure that I think about that every single day. Come on, Jazz. But in terms of the business, our revenue goals, I mentioned to Hannah, where she's gone, we took an investor, so we've now got revenue goals and productivity goals, so it's just different.
Yeah, a new chapter.
It's relative.
New challenges. Well, I've got even more questions for you, but stay where you are. For now, everybody, the co-founder of Dr. PAWPAW, Johnny Paterson. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Johnny,